And as the candidates make their final pushes now, many questions are swirling about how election night might go.
It's a high-stakes race, and joining us now with a survival guide is Washington Post data analyst and political columnist David Byler. David, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
The best way to find out where a candidate stands in the race before the election, of course, is through polling. But in 2016, the polls did not predict that Donald Trump would win the electoral votes. And it could be the same way this time around, can't it?
Right. So we're in a situation where Joe Biden is in a somewhat better position than Hillary Clinton. There are fewer undecided voters, fewer third-party voters. There are some things that should make the Biden camp feel a little bit easier than the Clinton camp felt in 2016. But it is true that if there is, again, a systematic polling error that undersamples or undercounts Trump voters in some way or fails to catch onto a late surge in his direction, that it's possible that Trump could pull out a win. That being said, in the swing state polls and in the national polls, Biden still has a solid lead.
What do you foresee will happen come election day? Let's look at after the polls close. Voting will still likely go on for quite a bit after that period. But what will you be looking for, as we try to find out which candidate has actually won the office?
Right. Well, I'm going to be personally focused on the key swing states. So Florida is a state that has a reputation for close elections, but it also has a reputation for fast counts. So that might be a state that gives us some of our earliest clues about who's going to win the election, since Trump's path is pretty difficult if he loses the state of Florida. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, these Midwestern states often don't have as much experience with counting massive volumes of mail ballots. So some of these states may end up having a slower count. I'll also be looking towards Arizona. They have kind of a medium fast count. It's really just going to be a patchwork on election night of which states are able to deliver their vote fast and which states are just going to take time because that's the nature of the thing.
What about Texas being a key state too? It's red now, but some are saying it could be flipped to blue.
Right. So this is sort of the interesting flip side. Yes, it's possible for Trump to win if he gets a systematic polling error in his favor, but the same thing could happen to Biden. The polls might be underestimating him. And if that happens, that puts a state like Texas very, very, very much on the map. It's a state with a growing Hispanic and Latino population. It's a highly urbanized and suburbanized state. That's good for sort of the post-Obama Democratic coalition. And the turnout there seems to be high, which I don't know exactly what to read into that. But a lot of Democrats, for what it's worth, do seem enthusiastic about Texas. So it's definitely a state worth keeping an eye on.
Two-part question for you here. What do you make of sort of this election fatigue, the campaign fatigue that Americans have sort of been living through? And when do you actually think that we will be able to declare a winner after Election Day?
Right. Well, I know that I certainly have election fatigue. I think everyone has election fatigue right now. I think it's going to take on the order of weeks or months for it to be official and for every, I to be dotted and T to be crossed. That being said, I think we are going to get some real information about election night. I think we're going to have some information about where the race is going, what the likelihoods look like. We're going to know more about whether it's going to be one of these drawn out, protracted fights. But honestly, based on a lot of people that I talk to, some are just not going to be comfortable and not going to breathe easy until Inauguration Day. I think that's a little overcautious, but it's a process getting through all the formalities and all the vote counting and all the official paperwork. It just takes time.
And David, many folks are afraid of voting in person, actually going to vote on Election Day itself, November 3rd, because of the pandemic, and some are afraid of violence and things like that, being intimidated at the poll. What do you say to those folks?
Right. So I can't make a blanket recommendation for people. It, always depends on your personal health situation, what you should do to stay safe in the middle of a global pandemic. What I would say is that states have massively expanded their early in-person voting options, their mail voting options, and a number of states and locales, we have reports of them taking measures to make in-person voting on Election Day more safe. Through social distancing, through hand sanitizers, sometimes curbside voting, things along those lines. So I would say make a plan that is local and that works for you. And also remember that your right to vote is sacred in this country. If someone is trying to intimidate you, or more likely, if just the bureaucracy is bogging you down a bit, you can ask to have your rights fulfilled. There's different measures in each state, but there are laws that are designed to protect you either from the pandemic or from anything else that would keep you from voting. So make a plan. It's an important election.
Yeah, don't give up that right. David Byler with Washington Post. Thank you, sir. Be safe, be well.
Thank you.